Season 6 of Rick and Morty concluded with some extremely significant future consequences. In addition to significant changes occurring behind the scenes, Rick Prime was hinted to as the new main antagonist for the show at the conclusion of the previous season. As the next season begins immediately after this revelation, the show actually has one more crucial issue to resolve before continuing. What has happened to Mr. Poopy Butthole since we last saw him? When we last saw Mr. Poopy Butthole, he had shattered both of his legs in an attempt to regain control over his life. Rick and Morty Season 7 hinted that the character will be making a comeback in the upcoming episodes to address that dreadful status update. Additionally, as the title implies, we've received a much-needed upgrade. This is the complete story of how Poopy got his poop back. The Smith family starts to wonder when one of their house guests will depart because they are starting to stay longer than expected. It turns out that this guest is Mr. Poopy Butthole, who has fallen on even harder times since our last encounter, and who tells us that his life has truly fallen apart since Beth shot him in his first appearance. After the chilly open, Rick admits that he hasn't found Rick Prawn yet, and Morty advises him to get Mr. Poopy Butthole out of his way. Rick reluctantly consents to an intervention for Poopy Butthole after his first plan to create robot ghosts to frighten Poopy Butthole away fails. He refuses to refer to it as such and enlists the help of his buddies Gearfus, Swanchy, Gene, whose lawnmower stays running after Rick takes him away, and Bird Person, who is revealed to have saved Bird Daughter since his last appearance in Season 6. During their hangout, Poopy Butthole confesses that, despite being under a restraining order, he has been monitoring his ex-wife and has even hired a predator to follow her. When Poopy Butthole learns that it's his birthday, Rick and the others decide to throw a party in his honor since they know that Poopy Butthole will be thrilled when he's at the end of his rope. Despite their initial intention to talk to Poopy Butthole about his drinking, they ultimately wind up going out to parties and drinking more. They see Hugh Jackman on their way to a club filled with honey and bees. It turns out that Jackman is the cousin of Gene. Gene extends an invitation to join him for a party but cautions them that Hugh has wild parties with no boundaries. The crew, totally out of their gourds, goes to Jackman's mansion full of X-Men memorabilia after taking some mysterious pills. They don't want to go get Poopy Butthole when they hear that he wants to win back his ex-wife. Rick declines though, and they wind up arguing about Poopy Butthole's apparent lack of friendship for Rick. To avoid the intervention, Poopy Butthole, Jackman, and the others even go so far as to pretend it's his birthday. They don't go to his ex-wife's house. Instead, Rick returns to his lab and chooses to rejoin Poopy Butthole's gang after speaking with a failed robot ghost he attempted to construct earlier. Rick makes the decision to assist because he wants to see it through to the end after putting everyone out there. It is discovered that the predator investigator that Poopy Butthole had sent after her is in fact dating the ex-wife of Poopy Butthole. The predator has taken his son from her home and is currently pursuing them all in a jungle. When Poopy Butthole opens a beer can and gets them caught, a brawl breaks out, with Rick's inebriated buddies losing right away. With all of his equipment, Rick is able to compete with the predator when he enters the fight. When Poopy Butthole intervenes, they almost kill the predator. This is a turning point in the story. Upon witnessing his son's fear, he concludes that it's best for his son and ex-wife to be looked for until he gets his life in order. Poopy Butthole apologizes, but his ex-wife concludes that she and the predator make a lovely family. It doesn't really become interesting until Hugh Jackman shows up and surprises everyone by taking down the predator. But then, there's a fresh dawn. As they bid each other farewell, Rick and the others gaze out at the rising sun. Poopy Butthole, who is getting ready to turn his life around, is more self-actualized than ever. The lawnmower that Gene left running after Rick dragged him away in the beginning is revealed to have been destroying the town until it runs out of gas in the post-credits sequence, after murdering one last person in a dramatic fashion. What was your impression of the Season 7 premiere of Rick and Morty? Please share your opinions with us in the comments section.